Mars Sample Return Mission Update plus Transporter 4 Recap. The space is vast and mighty, and so is the news surrounding it. The space industry is buzzing with excitement as humans continue to push the limits of science to try to explore what lies beyond the horizon. SpaceX is set for its busiest April since the origin of the company, with the launch of their Falcon 9 crafts into orbit earlier this week as part of the Transporter 4 mission. Meanwhile, in less fortunate news, scientists will have to wait a little longer to get their hands on pristine Mars samples that might hold evidence of ancient red planet life. Welcome to our channel, where today we're going to talk about everything space-related, from the Mars Sample Return mission to the Transporter 4. How does NASA plan to bring back samples from Mars? What does the Transporter 4 launch signify for SpaceX? Well, we have all the updates for you, so stick around to the end as we answer all these questions and more. So let's dive right in. Humans have been exploring Mars with robotic spacecraft since the 1960s. We've learned that liquid water once existed on the surface and that the planet had a warm, wet environment that could have supported life as we know it. Was Mars warm and wet for long periods during which life could have arisen? Or mostly cold and dry, with only brief intervals that could have supported life? These answers can be found in Mars's rocks and soil, which lock in atmospheric gases, preserve signs of past life, and carry clues revealing the environment in which they formed. Despite impressive advances in miniaturizing science instruments for space missions, certain questions can only be answered by tools that are too large, heavy, and power-hungry to fly on spacecraft. Fortunately, there's a way around this limitation. Rather than bringing our tools to Mars, we can bring Mars samples back to Earth. To date, humans have only returned samples to Earth from 4 other bodies in the solar system: the Moon, asteroids Itokawa and Ryuga, and the tailings of comet Wild 2. Mars is a far more challenging destination than any of the above examples. Only in the past decade have Mars landing technologies improved enough for us to be confident that we can land in the same spot multiple times, an ability needed for multiple spacecraft sample return missions. NASA's Perseverance rover, which launched to Mars on July 2020 and arrived in February 2021, is the first step of sample return. It's exploring Jezero Crater, the site of an ancient lake and river delta. There, the rover is using its onboard drill to collect and seal samples from rocks that formed in Mars's wet, warm past. The rover is leaving those tubes on the surface for a future mission to return to Earth. Getting those samples back to Earth will take 2 additional missions, for which NASA and the European Space Agency will team up to share expertise and costs. As early as 2026, but perhaps more likely in 2028, NASA and ESA will launch 2 new missions to Mars. The first will include a lander, a so-called fetch rover, and a launch system that will land together near Perseverance. The fetch rover will collect the samples dropped by Perseverance, bring them to the lander, and place them in a sample capsule inside a rocket. The rocket will launch the samples into Mars orbit. But the plan has changed a bit, NASA announced on March 28th. Detailed analysis of SRL-landed mass requirements has led NASA to adopt a dual lander architecture, with the second lander carrying the Europe-provided fetch rover. NASA officials wrote in a description of the agency's allocations in the White House's 2023 federal budget request. That request, which still must be approved by Congress, gives NASA $26 billion for the 2023 fiscal year, which begins October 1st. The development of the second lander necessitates a move to a 2028 launch date and a 2033 sample return date, and is consistent with the Mars Sample Return Independent Review Board's finding that a dual lander architecture may improve the probability of mission success, they added. The ERA launch has also been delayed from 2026 to 2027, according to the budget documents. The budget request allocates $822 million to Mars sample return in the fiscal year 2023, an increase of $169 million for the project over last year's request. The increase is not occurring in a vacuum. It's placing pressure on the rest of the planetary science portfolio and may impact the balance of the portfolio in recent years, NASA officials wrote in the budget document. For example, the extra money now needed for Mars sample return was a factor in NASA's decision to delay the launch of its NEO Surveyor mission by 2 years, to no earlier than 2028, and to discontinue funding for the International Mars Ice Mapper project, agency officials wrote. So are you guys having a good time? We've talked at great length about the Mars sample return mission, but you guys must be wondering about the Transporter 4 and what implications it'll have on the future of SpaceX. So while you think, do subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to receive instant notification about all our future videos. SpaceX has launched Transporter 4, the fourth dedicated small-sat rideshare mission under their rideshare program. Transporter 4, with its batch of 40 payloads, launched on a flight-proven Falcon 9 from Space Launch Complex 40 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, CCSFS, on April 1st at 12:24:16 p.m. EDT. Transporter 4 was SpaceX's 12th overall flight, second transporter mission, and the fifth launch from SLC-40 that year. On Transporter 4, SpaceX once again used a flight-proven Falcon 9 first-stage booster. The booster used on this mission was B-1061-7, the fifth time a booster supported 7 flights. B-1061 previously supported the SpaceX Crew 1, Crew 2, Sirius XM-8, SpaceX Cirrus-23, NASA's IXPE, and the Starlink Group 4-7 missions. For Transporter 4, B-1061 had a turnaround time of 57 days. Following B-1061's sixth flight on the Starlink Group 4-7 mission, it was taken off the drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas, and transported to SpaceX's Hangar X facility at Roberts Road. From there, it underwent refurbishment and inspections. On March 26th, with its second stage attached, it was transported to the Horizontal Integration Facility at SLC-40. At the HIF, the 40 encapsulated payloads were attached to the second stage. From there, the rocket, which was already placed on the transporter erector, was rolled out ahead of its launch. Now becoming a normal occurrence, the static fire was skipped for this mission. Since the introduction of the small-sat rideshare program in 2019, SpaceX launched 376 satellites on their transporter missions, including Transporter 4. The first dedicated mission was Transporter 1 in January 2021, where Falcon 9 launched a record 143 satellites, including 10 Starlinks to orbit. In June 2021, Transporter 2 took 88 satellites, including 3 Starlinks to orbit. The most recent transporter mission was Transporter 3 in January 2022. On this mission, B-105810 successfully launched 105 satellites, this time with no Starlink satellites. Transporter 1 was not the first time SpaceX launched a dedicated rideshare mission. In December 2018, Falcon 9 launched a spaceflight SSAO mission with 64 satellites on board. The rideshare program allows customers frequent, low-cost access to space. SpaceX currently offers a base cost of $1.1 million for a satellite up to 200 kilograms. With these missions, SpaceX can deliver multiple payloads to the popular Sun-synchronous orbit in one launch. For future missions, Transporter 5 is scheduled for June 2022 and Transporter 6 in October 2022. If you think this is where all the space news ends, you're wrong. There is more action yet to come. Following this mission is Axiom 1, which will utilize B-10625 with Crew Dragon Endeavour on a 10-day mission to the International Space Station. It'll be the first all-private mission to the station. On April 20th, the SpaceX Crew 4 mission will launch using B-10674 and the brand new Crew Dragon Freedom. It'll carry a crew of 4 to the ISS for SpaceX's 4th operational mission to the orbiting lab. With both Axiom 1 and Crew 4, SpaceX will launch 2 crew missions in just 2 weeks. The 5th mission planned for SpaceX is the Starlink Group 414 mission. SpaceX's 6th and final planned mission in April is the Nilesat 301 mission. Targeting April 30th, it'll launch from SLC-40 on an unknown booster. April's going to be a busy month for SpaceX. The space industry never sleeps. But that's all the time we have for today. So how long do we have to wait before we get viable samples from the Red Planet? How important is the Transporter 4 mission in the grand scheme of SpaceX's plans to reach Mars? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to watch more of our amazing videos, then stay tuned.